Good evening. My name is Christy Savakinas, and I am the Director of Technology at Pittston Area School District. I would like to welcome everyone to our virtual school board meeting for December 17th, 2020. Attendees tonight include the Board of Education members, our Superintendent, Mr. Kevin Booth, Business Manager, Mr. Al Malone, Solicitor, Attorney Samuel Falcone. Also attending are members of the District Administrative Team and our Board Secretary, Mrs. Dawn Licata. Mrs. Licata will be available to field questions for those attending via the live stream. For those of you attending live, please note there is a link available on the website to download and view tonight's agenda. The agenda will not be shown during the live stream, so we can focus on the board members as they present the agenda. At any point in time during the meeting, you can direct questions by emailing Mrs. Licata at don.licata@pittstonarea.com. Mrs. Licata's email address can also be found on the homepage of the Pittston Area School District website, www.pittstonarea.com. I would like to start the meeting showcasing our fourth grade teachers as they present the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise and join in with them.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty
and justice for all.
At this time, I would like to turn the meeting over to our school board president, Dr. Frank Serino. Thank you.
Thank you, Chrissy. Good evening and welcome to all. We're about to begin the regular scheduled school board meeting Thursday, December 17th, 2020. Meeting will be called to order. Roll call.
Mr. Anizio?
Present.
Dr. Cooper?
here.
Mr. Crawford?
Here.
Mr. Knick?
Here.
Mr. Lawler?
Here.
Mr. Quinn?
Here.
Ms. Ricotta?
Here.
Mr. Salvo?
Here.
And Dr. Serino?
Here. The board met in exec session Tuesday, December 15th, 2020 at 5 p.m. for the purpose of discussing personnel. I'd like to have a motion to approve the minutes of the November 17th meeting.
Dr. Serino, before we go into that, I'll need to present my agenda for the work session.
Oh, okay. I was going to do that. All right. That's fine, Kev. It's all yours.
Thanks. Under communications, C1, the communication from the LIU 18 Board of Directors enclosing a copy of their meeting that was held on October 28th, 2020. C2, the communication received from the Wilkes-Barre Area Career and Tech Center, their meeting that was held on November 15th. C3, the application for permit to use school facilities. Under C4, the assessment notices, abatements, and additionals received from the Luzerne County Board of Assessment Appeals be acknowledged as received and placed on file. Under finance, F1, that the debt service payments due January 15th, 2021 for the general obligation bonds for the following bonds payable to UMB be approved as follows. Series of 2014A for $9,020, series of 2014B, $8,481.25, series of 2017, $30,260, series of 2018, $148,762.50. Total due of $196,523.75. F2 is the communication from Luzerne County Board of Assessment Appeals Office of those residents requesting a refund of the taxes paid. Under general, that the revised Pennsylvania Department of Education phased school reopening health and safety plan be approved and placed on file. That's all I have for my report. I would also like to speak to when we may be having our students come back for in-purpose learning. As of right now, Luzerne County is in the substantial stage or phase for transmission. I believe today or yesterday there was over 500 cases in the county. So we're still seeing a high level of transmission of the COVID-19 virus. In our guidance from the Department of Education, so long as we are in the substantial level, their recommendation is that we stay in the virtual learning platform that we're in. So we will continue with virtual learning for the foreseeable future. PDE, in their guidance, would like to see the level get to moderate and be in the moderate for 2 weeks, a straight 2-week period in moderate, before we then begin to think about moving into the hybrid situation. So we had originally in previous meetings expected to be back in a hybrid on January 4th. That is looking very less likely. I think we are probably going to be in the substantial probably through the month of January. The second quarter ends on January 29th. So we're probably looking somewhere around the end of January before we can start making the decision to move to the hybrid learning platform. That's all I have, Doc. You could
Thanks, Kev.
move on.
Thank you. Now I'd like to call for a motion.
Now, new business.
I'm way ahead of myself here. Anyone with new business from the board? Any updates from Wilkes-Barre Area Career and Technical Center? Bruce?
No update. There's no update this month.
Okay. John, Anizio, or how are we at the IU?
Dr. Serino, we did have a meeting on Tuesday. However, we had our executive session, so I wasn't able to attend. But we're looking to award a contract for some demolition work that we need done at that new building that we took over up on Route 315. And for what my understanding is, the contract, the lowest bid was $80,000 lower than the closest bid. So I'm sure that was the contractor who was awarded the contract. But that's all I have, Doctor.
Thanks for the update, John. It looks like it's going to be a great place for our kids. I've seen some of the ideas behind the concept, and it looks like it'll be a great asset. Thank you.
Yeah, we're very excited about it. Thank you.
Yep. Any public input?
Yes, we did have one. We had public input from Ann Chardine. Dear Pittston Area School Board members, the schools have worked very hard to plan for a safe return to school. Please consider allowing in-person learning to begin with the third quarter. If you choose to wait, please consider taking it month by month instead of committing to a full quarter of virtual learning. So, as I said, we want nothing more than to get our students back for in-person learning, but we are going to follow the recommendations from the Department of Education. And as soon as we get back to that moderate level of transmission, then we will begin the process of bringing our students back.
Thanks, Kevin. I'd just like to comment on that. We've worked closely, this board has worked closely with our administration because we're all concerned in regards to the return of our kids to school. We understand it is not the best situation. And our administration has worked out several different plans and ways to address it. I think we're on top of what we need to do. We're just waiting for the stars to line up so that we can get it open and get our kids back. Thank you. Okay. If I can get a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting for November 17th and December 3rd. Motion?
Motion, John Addisio.
Second, Mr. Lawler.
Roll call. Mr. Anizio,
Yes.
Dr. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Crawford,
Yes.
Mr. Knick,
Yes.
Mr. Lawler,
Yes.
Mr. Quinn,
Yes.
Ms. Rakota, Ms. Rakota,
Yes.
Mr. Salvo,
Yes.
and Dr. Serino.
Yes. Take a motion that the communications C1 through C4.
Motion, Mr. Knick.
Second.
Roll call. Mr. Anizio,
Yes.
Dr. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Crawford,
Yes.
Mr. Knick,
Yes.
Mr. Lawler,
Yes.
Mr. Quinn,
Yes.
Ms. Rakota,
Yes.
Mr. Salvo,
Yes.
and Dr. Serino.
Yes. The finance, a motion that F1 and F2 be approved as so presented.
Motion.
Second, Mr. Addisio.
Roll call. Mr. Anizio,
Yes.
Dr. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Crawford,
Yes.
Mr. Knick,
Yes.
Mr. Lawler,
Yes.
Mr. Quinn,
Yes.
Ms. Rakota,
Yes.
Mr. Salvo,
Yes.
and Dr. Serino.
Yes. A motion to approve G1 as so presented.
Motion.
Second.
Roll
Roll
call.
call.
Mr. Anizio,
Yes.
Dr. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Crawford, Mr. Crawford,
Yes.
Mr. Knick,
Yes.
Mr. Lawler,
Yes.
Mr. Quinn,
Yes.
Ms. Rakota,
Yes.
Mr. Salvo,
Yes.
and Dr. Serino.
Yes. A motion that P1 through P5 be accepted and approved as so presented.
Motion, Mr. Salvo.
Second, Mr. Addisio.
Roll call. Mr. Anizio,
Yes.
Dr. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Crawford,
Yes.
Mr. Knick,
Yes.
Mr. Lawler,
Yes.
Mr. Quinn,
Yes.
Ms. Rakota,
Yes.
Mr. Salvo,
Yes.
and Dr. Serino.
Yes. P6, that the following be appointed to fall and executive positions for the 2021, 2022 school year be approved, ratified, and placed on file. Motion?
Motion, Mr. Salvo. Second, Mr.
Second.
Lawler.
Roll call. Mr. Anizio,
Yes.
Dr. Cooper,
No.
Mr. Crawford,
Yes.
Mr. Knick,
Yes on everything except, the head soccer coach, girls.
On the question for that, it's part of what we had discussed in the personnel session. The question is, the intent, Bruce, would be to table that particular position?
Yes. Table it until we get more information from our athletic director.
Attorney Falcone, what, as far as procedurally, what will we need to do to take accepting it to moving that particular position into a table for that particular position?
There would be an intervening motion now to table the motion because there's already a first and a second. So either you have to complete the vote as presented, and if it's voted down, then you entertain a separate motion where you would hire or table whatever position you choose to at that point. But right now, you've already got a first, second, and you're halfway through the vote.
So I guess what I'm asking is we can go through this and we can put back with a second motion to table that particular position?
There could be an intervening motion that, and then you'd have to clear that up.
And that would be after this roll call is called.
Yeah, there could be a subsequent one after this. So if it passes, then it's done. If it doesn't, you have another motion that would table just that position, if that's what the pleasure of council is or of the board is, and then at that point proceed with hiring the other.
Excuse me, Dr. Serino and Sam, if we were to stop the vote now and interject a motion to table that position, would that be okay?
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Motion that would.
In that case, I would like to make a motion that we stop the current vote and we make a motion to table the girls soccer coaching position and then move on with the other coaching positions.
Just to be clear, there's two positions on the agenda for sport. Is your motion for both of them?
I would suggest both at this time.
That's a motion.
Yes.
The motion would need a second to continue.
I'll second it.
A roll call.
Mr. Anizio,
Yes.
Dr. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Crawford? Mr. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Knick?
Yes.
Mr. Lawler?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
Yes.
Ms. Rakota?
Yes.
Mr. Salvo?
Yes.
And Dr. Serino?
Yes. Like,
I think you
I'll let-
continue with the previous vote.
can I introduce, or can someone introduce a motion now, or Roseanne's motion? Sam?
That was her motion that we just. That's what was just voted on.
Okay, so let me understand this. That means that we table that and all other jobs are approved?
That was my understanding, the motion and the second one.
Okay, so all the others are approved and that one's stable. That's fine.
We're halfway through. There's a few more people who have to vote.
Right.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it's clear. Go ahead.
Mr. Lawler, this is on the first motion.
Wait, it's not the first motion. It was Roseanne's motion.
So I'll pick up where we left off after Mr. Knick.
Correct.
Mr. Lawler,
Yes.
Mr. Quinn,
Yes.
Ms. Rakota,
Yes.
Mr. Salvo,
Yes.
and Dr. Serino.
Yes. P7, a motion to accept and approve the Act 93 Administrative Compensation Plan, July 1st,
Motion, Mr. Salvo.
Second,
Roll call. Mr. Anizio,
Yes.
Dr. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Crawford,
Yes.
Mr. Knick,
Yes.
Mr. Lawler,
Yes.
Mr. Quinn,
Yes.
Ms. Rakota,
yes.
Mr. Salvo,
Yes.
and Dr. Sereno.
Yes. A motion that under finance and business reports, FB1 through FB6 for the month of November be accepted as presented and filed.
Motion, Mr. Quinn.
Second, Mr. Knick.
Roll call. Mr. Anizio,
Yes.
Dr. Cooper,
Yes.
Dr. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Crawford,
Yes.
Mr. Knick,
Yes.
Mr. Lawler,
Yes.
Mr. Quinn,
Yes.
Ms. Rakota,
Yes.
Mr. Salvo,
Yes.
and Dr. Sereno.
Yes. Is there any new business from the board? Kevin, any public input?
Yes, we did get one from Mr. Ben Herring. Now that the vaccines are rolling out, is the school now posturing itself for reopening fully? And I think I've already covered that.
So we're okay? That's it?
Yep.
All right, before I make a motion to adjourn, I'd just like to, given the circumstances in our society today, just hope everyone has a joyous and Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday type of situation. And I would like to ask if we could take a moment of silence for those thousands of people that have lost their lives in this pandemic. Thank you, and our hearts are out to all those that have been affected. Motion to adjourn?
Motion, Mr. Anizio.
Second,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.